Hey guys, it's Daniel here from Gamer TV.
And this is Jonathan from Original Day Life.
So yes, no, you could do a plug. Come on, you do photography, you do
Okay, I do
acting.
photography. Yeah, I do acting. Registered nursing program.
Yes, should I say Jonathan Photography or should I say Different Edge?
Whichever one you want, Danny. It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
So yeah, look for Different Edge or Jonathan Photography on Facebook or Wix.com, no?
Yes, but anyways, on to Tomb Raider.
Yes. So yeah, we're going to get on a review later on this podcast of Tomb Raider 2013, the reboot. So yeah, first, let's talk about our history with Lara Croft. When did you first get exposed to her?
Well, Danny, the first Tomb Raider game that I actually played was Tomb Raider 3. And I remember just going through the demo. The first thing I played was the demo that came out for the Pizza Hut. I don't know if you remember, but Pizza Hut came out with these demos. And that's when I first played her game. It was okay. I mean, it was good for the time.
Pizza Hut gave demos?
Yes, they did.
Oh shit.
So I remember that, and I played it also along with I think it was Metal Gear Solid, or I don't know which one it was, but
Yeah, well, I didn't have that luxury of knowing the Pizza Hut, and I should have known because I ate Pizza Hut like no tomorrow. But no, the way I got exposed to her was, back then in the PlayStation era, the only person who had a PlayStation was my cousin. I was still into the Nintendo and Sega. I wasn't into PlayStation quite yet, and he had the Tomb Raider game. And I just remember the first time I played it, I was like, oh my god, it's a girl. But then that quickly faded because I think it was cheetahs inside a cave. And then I would die. And then I kind of rage quit. I was like, I hate this.
So you're saying that the difficulty was very hard for back in the day?
No, I'm guessing it's just, I wasn't, I was more into the Tekkens and stuff like that at that time, before the Sega Genesis. And Nintendo, when I first got into PlayStation, it was more fighting games.
Yeah, I think I also appreciated the fact that Tomb Raider back then was very robotic. And for some reason, I just like that kind of gameplay, which is very different to what gameplay is now. It's more fluid, it's more flexible. But back then, there was just something very cool about the robotics of how she would move herself.
Do
how
you
she
mean
would
like
shoot.
the tank controls?
I think so, because I also appreciated the fact that Resident Evil, like especially the first one, the second one, the third one, they were very robotic in the way they moved. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, there was just something very cool about that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they got rid of those after time because we have to move on. Because oh my god, like going back, like I was playing Silent Hill 1 the other day, and oh my god, I couldn't. Even though I still played it, but still, like, I like the fluidity of now.
But what about speaking of now? Like, what were your thoughts when you first heard about the reboot being made
Of Tomb Raider?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, first I was like, finally, because I think the story got a little bit convoluted. Because after my initial find of Laura, I did give her a try a couple years later, and I started to play the series, and then I got into it, and where I had left off was it was for the PlayStation, I think, where somebody had an evil twin, Amanda, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there was a conspiracy, and she was like half demon, half angel. And then she had to go to a temple, Lara Croft, and somebody had betrayed her. And it got really convoluted. So I was happy for a reboot. And plus, when I saw the E3 trailer, I was like, damn, this looks really hot. And contrary to what everybody thinks of like, oh, it's just another Uncharted, ripoff, I actually like it because, Uncharted learned, and got stuff from Tomb Raider. So it should be fine that Tomb Raider gets some things back. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I was excited for this. I was excited.
I definitely was excited just because the one of the last games that I played before I started playing Legend, which actually I thought was a very good game, was Tomb Raider.
Oh, that's the one I had played, Legend?
I think it was the one that came after that.
The one after Legend.
I played
okay.
Underworld, which is where I just got extremely disappointed where the game was going. Just the whole fact that they kind of went dark with the storyline, and it wasn't really executed very well. But I felt like it did go back into the high levels with Tomb Raider Legends, where I thought the story was really good. I was really excited for the second one, but I just never really got around to playing it because I honestly just wasn't kept entertained enough during the break with the Tomb Raider series. But my thoughts for the reboot was just wow. I mean, look at these graphics. I didn't know anything about the storyline, but the graphics just looked amazing. Her voice, the fact that she was just voiced by this British actress was just amazing.
I remember you got obsessed with her.
I got pretty obsessed with her, yes. But I just found it amazing that they were just making somebody realistic. And the first thing I remember is just seeing the trailer, and I see Tomb Raider, actually Lara Croft, I see her crying. I see her complaining, almost whining, which was a little bit upsetting, but at the same time, it was like, wow, she's a real person now.
Yeah.
She's not someone
remember,
fake.
That's right, now that you mentioned that. Remember the first time we were talking about it, and then I kept making fun of it, like the, like, I was like, oh my god, like the whole trailer. And remember Leslie is like, okay, let's just not look at the trailer. And he just put it all high, and then that's all we would hear throughout the whole entire trailer, just gasping and screaming.
Yeah, but I think when you put all the pieces together, Lara Croft was made into a new person that's just very real to what a girl in her situation would be like today.
No, I get you. But what were your expectations? We've played the game already, but let's go back in time. What were your expectations? What did you want to see from Tomb Raider?
I wanted to see something completely redefined. I did not want the big-breasted Lara Croft that moved robotically, that was a superhero of all tombs. I wanted someone that was just very innocent, someone that cried, someone that would go through all these things. And how did she mold? How did she get molded, grow up into being the woman that she's known to be now? Yeah. I mean, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see exactly how everything was made into what it is today.
Yeah, my expectations were a bit different. As much as I like grittier, Batman Begins type formula, I also didn't want Laura to be too vulnerable. And we were talking about this back then. I remember when we saw the trailers and everything. I remember you were highly disappointed with two games that came out a while back. Were Metroid, Other M, that you didn't like, that they kind of toned her down. They kind of made her more pussy-ish, you would say. And also The Third Birthday, that they kind of made Aya, more stereotypical feminism, not the kick-ass Aya that we knew. Even though it wasn't, you found out, when you played the whole game, it wasn't really Aya. It was like
big spoiler, but it was.
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah, but still, you still were upset because regardless if it wasn't Aya, it's like, why the hell are they portraying females as weak? So, were you scared of that, or?
I actually wasn't. I was very excited. When it comes to Tomb Raider, just because it's so unexpected of her and you're so used to seeing somebody so unusually strong, I really wanted to see the complete opposite of her and see what Square Enix was going to do with that character change. Yeah.
Now, do you remember the controversy of the scene, of the guy supposedly about to insinuate rape? And then one of the producers or one of the guys from the game had actually said, oh, this is how Laura's defining moment. I got super mad at that. I was like, oh, hell nah. No, because, Nathan Drake, he didn't, get molested or anything like that. He steps up to a hero. I was scared for the reboot. I wanted to do it. I wanted to really see what it was. But I was really scared, and my expectations were very high because it is Tomb Raider. And, yeah, but you were more optimistic than I was.
I think just first. Because it was just a big change. It's what I wanted. It's what I expected. I was dying to do a photo shoot of Tomb Raider of Lara Croft, and I actually did a photo shoot right in time when the trailer was coming out, and I got super excited for it because I got to show a new side of what I thought Lara should be. Yeah. In the photography, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, those photos were beautiful.
Thank you. It's very nice.
People are going to start seeing it now.
Hope they do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we could go into our review. So, let's go with the actual game, Tomb Raider 2013. So, first, we're going to talk about the aspects of story first. What you think of the story, Jonathan?
I thought the story was amazing. The trailer really builds you up to it. I think it's one of those games that you can watch the trailer and not get spoiled. I thought it was amazing how it just went hand in hand with the storyline of the game. I thought it was an amazing intro, an amazing middle, an amazing end, especially the ending. But just the story was amazing. A survivor is born. It's really what the story focused on, and you get to see Laura as she goes through these steps, and and goes through all these trials to be. She didn't become towards the end of the game the woman that she is now, but you see maybe a little bit of a hint of what she might become. Mm-hmm. You don't know where it's gonna go, which is a mystery that I love.
A tease, right? Yeah. Well, what I thought with the story, as much as I did really, really like it, I'm gonna say it was good. It was good, but to me, it still wasn't great. I feel as though, and later on I will talk about this, I felt like this was a good intro. But like Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2 was the best. Uncharted 2 was what blew people's mind away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I thought it was good. Story, it borrowed heavily from Lost, which I liked because, we liked that TV series. So, it had, aspects of it. And, like Uncharted, the first one. Sorry, so many Uncharted, references and stuff like that. But it really was, it was confined to one island, which I liked, though. I liked a lot, too, because the island was very varied and stuff like that. One thing I could say about the story, though, that maybe you could agree, if you don't read the journals, you don't get as much meat to the story.
Okay.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You don't feel as much for Alex or Sam. Like, you don't really find out Alex has a crush on Laura.
Unless you read that journal.
Unless you read the journals. And if you don't read the journals, it'll kind of come into a shock when, you have to save him from the boat towards the ending. Mm-hmm. And he heroically...
Kind of starts hating on you.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So I felt like they focused too much on the journals. They left the journals to tell the story instead of the actual dialogue.
I mean, I definitely agree with that just because I'm a story-driven person. I really don't care much for the gameplay as much as I do for the story. And I feel like it's not much the story that's being told that makes a story. I think it's the characters in it and their interactions. And I felt like that's what this game really lacked. Just because, yes, there were characters aboard the boat that you do get to encounter. Some of them help you. But I feel like Lara Croft could have had a little bit more interaction with the characters. I mean, I hate to talk about Uncharted 2 again, but I think what made Uncharted 2 such an amazing game is that it was so... yes, it was cinematic, but the story was great. I mean, if you really look at it, the story was so simple, yet it was the characters' interactions that made it what it was. It was very memorable.
That's one thing that Tomb Raider didn't take from Uncharted.
Tomb Raider just borrowed, I think, from a lot of games, like, Big Bad Island, get out of it, Big Boss, that's it. I mean, there's not much you can do with the story. That is the story, and it's very simple in general. But I feel like had they added more... character interactions, maybe a little bit more with Roth. Like, this Roth is obviously a really important guy to Laura. He's almost a father figure. Yeah,
and even Roth's love interest, Angela. Is it Angela?
Yes.
Yeah, and how she kind of like towards the ending, she kind of snaps a little bit at Laura. The game was good. It had those characters, but it just wasn't fully developed. Right. It was only hints here and there. Which I felt like, sorry to say this, other games, they do it well. I don't want to mention Uncharted again, damn it. But yeah, Uncharted is character. People say they don't want Laura to have a love interest. They don't want Laura this, Laura that. They just want Laura. But the thing is, I think what would make an awesome Tomb Raider is if they did introduce other characters into the world and not just make it all about her.
Which I felt like is what the game was. It was about Laura. It was about her survival.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure, she helped other people out, but in the end, the journey was really about her, which I liked. But at the same time, it subtracted a lot from the story. She could have had such an amazing time getting interactions more with the characters, but I guess it wasn't done.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to conclude here on the part 1 of our podcast. And yeah, so we're going to talk about the gameplay next. So yeah, guys, stay tuned to part 2.